recently, we have analyzed a sample of cases that were submitted by people who claim persecution in their home countries based on their sexual orientation, and whose claims have been rejected in Finland. And by looking at these cases, we find certain assumptions about how people should behave in their home countries, which are not necessarily in line with what we know from research in psychology. So just to give one example, it's quite common for applicants to not be believed that they actually hold a specific sexual orientation because they don't describe their identity in negative terms. So there's an expectation that if someone comes from a country that has a forbidding attitude towards certain sexual minorities, that a person should internalize these beliefs. And this is not necessarily backed up by psychological evidence. The other thing is that we find a common expectation that people should be able to describe their stories in sufficient detail, so extensive detail, and provide quite personal details about their lives. And for this to be a valid argument, they would need to have been asked questions that allow them to elicit detailed and elaborate stories. But when we actually look at the questions that are asked in the interviews, only a small proportion of questions are formulated in an open manner and actually allow them to provide more than a few details. So we find a very large proportion of questions that invite a yes or no answer, rather than questions that are formulated like, tell me more about what has happened, which are known to elicit more detail from interviewees.